There's this new thing you may have heard of on social media if you follow a lot of tech news called vibe coding. And it's actually A, not new, B, a fad that will necessarily self-destruct, and C, kind of painful to watch. Here's why. First and foremost, what in Dagon's gills is vibe coding? Well, it's people who have very little to no experience with code, just letting a large language model generate code for them, then put that code together into a product. And how do they know if it works? Well, just the vibe of the thing. Hence, vibe coding, which is all well and good until you release that app in the wild and get actual users and actual hackers to give you a serious vibe check. Because, see, back in my day... Sorry, folks. Early onset cranky old man syndrome. Anyway, when I was starting out professionally, we also had vibe coding. We called it copy pasting from Stack Overflow and hoping the senior devs won't notice and chew us out, and rightfully so. A lot of the code spat out by LLMs is based on, yes, Stack Overflow code in similar forms. As an Eastern European axiom goes, everything new is just something old and forgotten. So the dangers of vibe coding are the same as just copy pasting random code. You have no idea why it works, how it works, if it really works, and if it's secure. Now, don't get me wrong. Using code from an AI or tutorial can be super useful. I love that an AI can frame out a boilerplate of what I actually have to do and then fill in all the fine details after the boring, clicky-clacky stuff is just automatically filled in for me. But I also then have to consider if the code is secure and if it will scale. Will it leak information you're not supposed to see because the safeguards are not there or are basically a joke? Does it actually validate passwords and IDs, or does it just kind of let you do whatever? Does it use memory and services so inefficiently that 1,000 users will leave you with a $10,000 monthly cloud provider bill? Are there weird bugs in there? Because I can't tell you how many times an AI thought I needed to set a Boolean condition to something opposite of what I actually needed it to do. The moral of the story is, please don't vibe code. Yes, use AI for code generation. 100%. Yes, use code from tutorials and troubleshooting posts. Abso-fucking-lutely. But don't just go off on vibes. Learn what it actually does and why. Because the world has enough crappy apps that break the moment you breathe on them wrong. Why add to that when you can use those AIs to learn and eventually make something genuinely useful and good? Let those tools inspire you and help you master a craft. Because why should anyone use something you barely bothered to actually build and put absolutely zero care into making good?